This is September 2nd, 2024. Just gonna chit chat. It's a little personal on fasting. This is the 40-day fast that I wanted to talk about. I'm willing to commit. It'll be my very first one. And I've gone through with the Daniel fast, just looking that up and seeing what that entails. So it's eliminating sugars, any processed foods, caffeine, things of that nature. I'm going to eliminate cheese and still get calcium. What else? The hardest part is going to be the coffee, eliminating that, especially every morning. And I've been in the habit of drinking it twice a day. About 2 cups aromas and having it with cream and a little sugar. And I still have natural sugars like in the fruits. And any canned foods I'm going to watch and make sure it doesn't have sugar in that. Like last night I cracked cranberry sauce in a can and then realized, hey, this may. I looked it up and just to see what it entails. It has meats, chicken, fruits, vegetables, water. The last 3 days, I will tell you, I will go strictly just on water. That's going to be the hardest 3 days because this whole month I'm going to eliminate that sugar. It'll probably be tougher with stir fry because I like to throw some of that in there. And so no natural sweeteners either, like honey or agave, any of that sort. Just what's in natural fruit. I'm excited to see what God will do. This is normally, pretty personal whenever you do a fast. This may be the only video I do on a fast. I'm mainly doing as a testament to see what God will do. Like I said, I've never done a 40-day, a 30-day, even a 20-day fast. And so I feel like I really need to do this. It's mainly between him and I. I feel like there's so many things I would love to see come about that's faster. And in the earthly time, it's much more slower than when it happens spiritually. And then it goes into the earth. There's this like a delayed action is what I've been studying out. And there's so many things I feel frustrated about, which I shouldn't. And so I'm just leaving it up to God, seeing what he will do in this fast. And then also on our nation, because with the U.S., and I don't want to get all political, I just feel so like voices don't step in, that the U.S. is just going to keep going down the toilet further. So part of this fast is with the election and all these policies that are happening that aren't in the best interest for the U.S., in this administration. I feel like if I really knew what would take place in the last 4 years, seriously, I would have moved to a different country. I mean, the U.S. has so many conveniences and is typically business friendly, right? However, with what's happened and with the president that stepped down recently, I feel like God is just like, I've had enough. And he's not letting this nonsense go on further. I love to see what God will do here. And he is promising the U.S. more, but we have to turn back to him, right? We have to repent and he will change our land. I'm dedicating this fast also for the nations, for the U.S., and it's hard to believe I did this major 3-day fast, and I talked about it on the other video. I fasted 3 days or more like I needed to with just water. I have with other things, but not just with water. I really want to report to you some incredible things, but really this is whatever God wants to do. And I really hope more people will fast. It is hard to. I mean, food and everything. This Daniel fast is not going to be as hard as most fast, and I'm not going to put extremes on my body with it, which is good in a sense. So I hope, I hope you can fast. If you've done this and you want to share some things that have come about, if it's fairly short, feel free to make comments on it. Hit a like, get things going where more people will fast for our nation, for the world, for people. Because we're just really stubborn as people. I mean, the more I see it by nature, people are evil. We turn evil, it seems like, because we don't take the guidance, of what God really wants. And it's for our betterment, but we don't value it, we don't obey fully. So, including myself, I just want to turn this over to God on what He's going to do for the fast. And health-wise, yeah, it's incredible. When we do fast, it heals guts. It can help eliminate diseases you're on your way to. So I want to mention two things along with this fast, and that's that I reviewed just this morning on Wellpedia, a video that came in, and it was with the Dr. Bobby Price and Dr. Barbara O'Neill. I believe she's Dr. Holistic. And on Facebook, she claims that none of her videos are hers and stuff. However, there's a woman that looks just like her and then talks all this health stuff. But she claims she has no videos whatsoever. She's not even on social media, on Facebook or whatnot. So I don't know what the story is with the woman, Barbara O'Neill. However, I do want to say that, and she's like 92 or something, 94. One of the things that someone else I ran into passed along, that she asked me, do you know what the perfect content is in the original water? And I said, no. She said, well, what you can do is, through Dr. Barbara O'Neill, is you take water, filtered water, of course, and then take Celtic sea salt. So maybe a pinch of that or whatever, but has a perfect balance in minerals, just as the original, pretty much to how God made water for us. And she said that she likes Celtic sea salt because it's got 3 types of magnesium versus Himalayan sea salt, which doesn't. And then, like right on my reel I did recently, the 1-minute reel on the Mylar bag, that a man tested between Himalayan sea salt and Celtic sea salt, and he was saying that there were no traces of metal, none in either of them, because they're mined in 2 places. And so a lot of the salts, I mean, they could fake either of them, I guess, and under different brands. But he was saying the main places they're mined for like 2,000 years or whatever are in the mountains of Utah for the Himalayan salt, I believe, and then for Celtic sea salts in France. Okay, I don't know if it was but they're undisturbed by metals and so forth, because there can be so many plastics as well. So that surprised me, and I thought that was awesome. So what I've been doing along with myself is giving it to my girls in their food. And usually for dinner I make them people food, and I just put a little bit of the Himalayan sea salt. I don't have any Celtic sea salt right now, but I'm going to start buying it, and it's just tremendous. We need magnesium for healing, for our systems, and the zinc and everything is excellent for our blood, for everything, and for our brains. So the other thing I want to mention was the video I reviewed with Robert Kennedy Jr., the one from 8 days ago where he declared he was stepping down because President Trump approached him and they had a chat, and they agreed that he will help the U.S.'s health, especially with the children. And he's been doing this for 19 years, but apparently, as we know, there's a lot of political mess and affiliations with donations, FDA, all of them approving our food sources, and they have an interest, a financial interest, so they're not necessarily going for what is accurate, and it's in their it's for their gain. So he's going to change all that. I love the fact that they got unified. He said, you know what, there's policies I don't agree with in the Republican or Democratic administrations, but for the sake of the people, he wants people to have better health, longevity, and so forth. And he made a point. He made a point of the fact that there's, say, $3 trillion, and that could, instead of going for healthcare, for medications, that could literally help a family, every single family with children, to have 3 meals a day with organic food. Because he was talking about GMOs, and the video this morning was talking about GMOs with Dr. Barbara O'Neill and Dr. Bobby Price, that it's affecting so many kids, people. Okay, they mentioned a few fruits and vegetables. The watermelon, there's issues with that where it's turning out to be like rubber. Even the teens aren't eating it, is what they were saying. Okay, the one woman had a video about a contaminated watermelon, that she was having side effects. That and the point that flies wouldn't even, we've had watermelon growing like crazy, which is a good thing, and the cantaloupe too, some. And I'll sidetrack a little. The cantaloupe we had, the one big one, the second one we had that we were able to eat, was actually taken into my woods, and I grabbed it because I spotted it, and some animal had gotten into it, and there were teeth marks or something. I said, gosh darn it, I'm going to take this cantaloupe. It's our first one, and we're going to have. The other one rotted because I didn't see it under the leaves or whatever. What else? Figs. I had sage. And I had the butternut squash. With all this fresh food, growing your own food, you know what's in it. And we rely less on the stores and everything. Cantaloupe, I cut out the teeth marks and I cut it up. I rinsed it, of course, and everything. I think it was out there like half a day or something. It was pretty fresh. Big size. It was really good. But I noticed, okay, I had watermelon and cantaloupe growing. I noticed on a plate we had for dinner, I think there were 4 or 5 items on the plate that we just grew. Okay, how nice is that? I wish we could grow a lot more of our own food and variety food that would actually grow. Because I planted so many things and they just did not grow. Like the peppers, I planted maybe 50, and for some weird reason none of them grew in different spots. Okay, so what I had on that plate was watermelon, cantaloupe, heart disease, diabetes, any of that, at the rate it's going now and been. And plus, people sit around more in front of the screens. But I just wanted to say that it seems like going back to the barbaric age, or doing things naturally, it seems, and simply seems like the solution. As advanced as we are that just going back to like what the Indians did, growing their own food, not using all this Roundup and fake fertilizers and everything, using their methods, that like the solution. Same thing with housing, the Cobb housing. I believe God's going to show some incredible things health-wise. I'm expecting some really great things with the health as along with that. I have pictures, and then just compare it to after 40 days, how those two eczema spots are with the way I'm eating. So the first 2 weeks I'm going to eat mainly meat and some chicken, fruits, vegetables. The third, fourth week, I will do more fruits and vegetables. And then the last week, I may just do vegetables and then taper it off and some fruits, but mainly vegetables. And then the last 3 days will be strictly water, like I said. I have eczema on my neck and my elbow, along with the tennis elbow, or if you want to say pickleball with elbow. Anyway, I could probably talk, the Cobb housing. The other fruits that they show was the avocado, and it was like rubbery also. It just would not move, and that is not normal. Along with knowing if it's GMO, were the strawberries. You cut into the strawberries and they're white. They should be red, right? Or pink, and having strawberry innards. That's what they're doing to these foods, the GMOs. And then Bill Gates was on there saying, oh, well, it uses less pesticides having GMOs. Well, as we know, he's buying up a bunch of the farmland too, and making them commercial. Okay, so using bribery to wipe out our farmlands. I mean, most people can't say no to money, especially if they're hurting. So we really need our farmlands, and I hope more young people will do this permaculture, farming. I think it's so awesome how there's these stories, these videos where these youngins are in the suburban. They started there, maybe they had about a half an acre, I believe, or a quarter acre, and they grew their crops, and then they earn like $100,000 a year, and then just kept expanding to where they outgrew that and decided to get more land, and maybe it was like 2 acres instead or whatever. And they have this high production, and they're growing organic food. So if more people could do something like that, and not have the stress of a job, and just popularize growing food and everything and bring it back to our communities, that seems to be the answer, really. Even if some people did it on a part-time basis, where we could have more food, and then of course the food's not traveling halfway across the world to get to us, and by then it's like 2 weeks old. Anyway, there's so many nutrients in raw food, and if the soil's good. So go back to that, It was on a salve, and this video showed you can use lard and put whole rosemary pieces in there, and you could boil it out too, I guess, and put it in the lard and a little wax into it. It's like one of the best salves you can have, and that's something I could probably put on my eczema or whatever too, because it gets itchy and flaky. Even the skin problems they were saying with this GMO is affecting people. So I don't know. I mean, I know too, my husband's lungs is messed up, and he's noticed more in the last year, I think, with all this extra spraying they're doing too, even though they've been doing this for what, 50 years, spraying junk in the air and then metals get into our food, water. People are intended to grow something, to consume what God's made for us. Back on this food, you know, even if you could set a room and have vertical gardens, a couple lights, and just grow some food. It could be your guest room, office, and just grow extra food in there, some containers. You can grow potatoes into these containers. And recently I've seen cardboard boxes, videos where they're growing potatoes in there. Of course, if you pick it up in 3 months, the whole box might collapse on you. But anyway, I've been absorbed in these videos, okay? Just learning, getting some tips. And the other video that really astounded me was on the water. The water, clean water, where this one man discovered, okay, it was so cool. He took grapevines and he put them in this muddy water, and I guess he tested it and it had E. coli and all this other junk. It's from a stream or lake. So he put it in a big glass jar, this muddy water, and he put grapevines. They were long grapevines, and he corded them up like 3-4, if you were to put an arm size, right into the glass jar outside. And then he took a cypress, bald cypress tree, I think it was, and he took maybe like not even a foot, 6 inches, a stem from the tree, and he skinned that off and also put it into the water, because these tubular like items draw out the impurities and everything and acts like a straw. So it's pretty cool how God, by nature, you know, you can do this. And I have a bald cypress tree. I don't know what I don't know what the benefits may be from a bald cypress. I just never looked it up or anything. I did know the benefits of the weeping willow when I had it, and it got to like 25 feet or so, and it actually is really awesome. The wood pieces, if you take an inch of them and boil them in water like a tea, it acts as a root stimulator and promotes growth for crops, for trees. So I had done that one. Back on this discovery with this man, I don't know if he was a military guy or whatever. What if we just did that to purify water in emergencies and everything? And even take the bark from the cypress tree I have. And so I thought that was one of the coolest tips. Tested that water and it was clear. He tasted it and it tasted really just plain. It was really good. But he tested that water, and after he purified it like that, there was no traces of E. coli or other contaminants. It's incredible. We have wild grapes growing on our property, but I just thought, you know, what if we just did that to purify water in emergencies and everything?